Hey Dave, how's it going today?
John, it is great. How are you, man?
Good. Another day in the jump seat. Today is number 25 today. We are going to be talking about something we haven't talked about yet. And for those just joining the jump seat, welcome for the first time. It's a weekly spotlight bringing you key industry insights, subject matter experts, and next gen happenings in the fire service. Hosted by two jump seat firefighters, myself, John, and Dave Durstein here with me. And we started this in March, I believe, end of March, early April, and we've just kept it going alive and continuing to bring new topics and information to those who in the fire service who can use it just like us.
Absolutely. And John, it's great to be here today. And, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, we also usually hit on a couple key things in the fire service. I'm just pulling one out of the air, John,
Yep.
some relevant information that really an incident that occurred here late last night in Ohio. We've talked about this kind of stuff before, and it just raises the awareness. Hey, just be careful out there, guys. But one of the city of Cleveland's ladder trucks actually was rear-ended and then was a hit and run type incident while it was responding to a call here in the wee hours of the morning last evening. So, we hear about it all the time, incidences involving accident scenes as well as responding apparatus. And in this case, it doesn't sound like, it was anything malicious on any driver's part or from the fire service side, but really, the community around us. And so who knows the exact incident there, but, just make sure you guys keep your eyes and ears open. Be attentive. We hate to hear about accidents involving any of our fellow firefighters. So just be careful out there. John, you've had some experiences with that too in the past. Any thoughts you want to share?
No, I agree. I think it was episode 3. We had Chief Gasway with situationalawarenessmatters.com. Great episode. He's got over 300 messages out there on this topic alone. So for anybody who needs a little training, get on there. There's some amazing free resources and books, and he does a lot of very proactive studies on situational awareness. So check out what he's got going on for those who haven't heard of Chief Gasway.
Yeah, he does his podcasts on a weekly basis as well.
Yep.
So you can always catch his stuff live on his podcast. And what a great guy! And gosh, it's hard to believe he was episode number 3.
I think so. Yeah, it was a while back. So
it seems eons ago now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious! Well, I tell you what, why waste any more time? Because we've had a great lineup of guests, and really I'm excited because we got a good one today. We've also got a good couple of weeks of lineup ahead of us here, and we'll share more of that when we get towards the end of the show today. But I think we ought to just jump right in the jump seat. John, what do you think?
I agree. Who do we got?
All right. Well, John, why don't you go ahead and bring in retired Captain Mark Water. And Mark is coming to us from sunny Florida today. Mark, welcome to the jump seat. For those of you guys who don't know, Captain Waters he's retired after 35 years with the city of Sunrise, Florida Fire, and is still active as a volunteer with the Plantation Volunteer Fire Company there in South Florida. So, Mark, welcome to the jump seat. And I think we're going to do a little discussion today on disinfecting and cleaning of apparatus as well, something that you've kind of taken a passion to. But maybe before we get to that, tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you get in the fire service in the first place?
Oh, okay. Well, I got into the fire service because I started out on that dark side, the police side.
Oh, no, just kidding, right?
I know.
That's
I saw the light because they made us go through an orientation at the fire department. And I started looking at it. And I was like, man, this is really interesting. I'd never even thought of that before because as a wee kid, I always thought I was going to be a police officer. So I got my start on the police side and then started investigating it with the volunteer aspect, got some certification and training while I was still working on the police department. And then a rare opportunity came up that I was able to transfer over from the police department to the fire department because we were expanding. And at that time, the guys were going to a 3-week Kelly So they hired a bunch and they were able to hire me and slide me over. So that's how I got my start from the volunteer aspect, and then I got it into the career aspect. So, and then my career was very, very nice. It was, I feel like I got the best years when I came in. And I don't mean to say that these next years aren't going to be great too, but it was really, I feel like that was the time that the fire department made the biggest, most significant changes for where we are today. I mean, from everything from large diameter hoses to air packs and our gear and apparatus, where they're going, where four-door apparatus is commonplace now. And back then, jump seats, tailboards, open cab kind of stuff. That whole aspect was there. So
that's great. What was kind of the driver of I'll say the niche that you chose to carve out here within this space that we're going to be talking about? What pushed you that way? What motivated you to really hone in on the disinfecting, decon, and some of the other things you do with your business?
Okay, so late in my career, I made the switch. I was an EMS shift supervisor, and then I was getting ready to enter a retirement plan. So I took on a regular crew and gave up that position and took on a regular crew, and they were a really good, motivated bunch of folks there. And we were at a busier station. We got the newer trucks, the newer rigs, and I started seeing, I got on a brand new truck and I started seeing the flaws and how the guys and girls were just taking care of it like it was just any other rig or any other truck in the fleet. And I'm like, this is brand new. We can't be doing it this way. And they started reach out and they would show me, hey, we can, did you ever see this on YouTube? And then I started Googling and YouTubing stuff and realizing that there was nothing out there specifically designed for our industry. And nobody had really done a lot on the training of the aspect of it. So I said, wow, training being my background and teaching for so many years, I just took onto it and started developing ways and making videos and that kind of stuff. And here we are today.
It's amazing how that can evolve like that, right? And so I know whenever we were talking yesterday, I refer to you as the expert, and I guess if you actually were to classify the three of us here together, you would be the expert, because this is something new to John and I, or something that
I told you I cringe at that.
I know, right? Exactly. So, but
that's
obviously
that says, "Oh, wait a minute, I'm not going to testify up there."
Absolutely. But you carry a great bit of knowledge. You've done a lot of research in this field, and I know I'm excited to learn a little bit more here about it.
For those that we didn't have our normal FDIC this year, but Mark, you were scheduled to be there.
Right.
With a phenomenal course. And I know that this next year you told me you might have to tweak it just because the world has changed significantly, right?
Right. Which led us down the road of creating more articles and that kind of aspect on cleaning and disinfecting and those kind of things. When I first presented that case, you put those things in well in advance, and you can submit 2 different classes. And one of them was parking garage fires, which I taught the year before. And I taught, just as a whim, I threw this in there because it's a passion of apparatus care. And they did on the apparatus care. And I was really curious because I thought, the parking garage fire, that's really good, Lots of fire involved in it. We've had some significant ones in the nation that people know of. And then I started inquiring, and they're like, no, this is something that we need, that there's a void there. So hence we started taking it on. And that's, so they just kept all the same dates and classes and everything for this next year coming up for the session. I'm sure there's going to be some modifications, like you said.
Yeah.
We have a hot topic, and there's going to be a lot of discussion on that
Well, and as science and technology evolves, even in the next however many months till the next FDIC, I'm curious just to see what's available to us in the field that maybe we didn't have a year ago.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Even now, I mean, when we first started this epidemic, when you started researching stuff, there was limited products out there. And now the products that are out there, there are a lot of them, but you have to the problem with that is you kind of have to fish through all of them to see which ones are the legit, which ones actually have some kind of proven background on them. Because people will make a lot of claims, but we all know how that stands. And I mean, my nozzle's the best, and kind of aspect.
Well, of course, you're talking to the nozzle guys, by the way. So
I know.
Never forget that one, Mark. Of course, ours is the best. I've even got my Akron. Got my Akron shirt on today too. But I mean, you've actually gotten to the point now where you've written some articles on this, and really have taken it to the next level in many ways, shape, or form. And so, what are those things that we do need to know when it comes to cleaning and disinfecting, particularly? I mean, we could talk about this pre-COVID, but then obviously it's even more relevant with today with the COVID aspect and biocontamination.
And the thing is, you have to remember that, yes, and I hate to say it this way, I'm not like trying to a fearmonger by any means or that, but we've kind of gone through our first wave of it, and now things are going to get back. People are going back to school. They just went back to school today where I live. And we're going to have our second kind of wave of this aspect, and people are going to go back to the workplace and that. So we have to kind of prepare ourselves a little bit more for that. And if it's not COVID, what's going to be the next one down the line too? So it's something, it's just like, I like to reflect on it after 9/11. A lot of things changed the way we did business, and we changed a lot of things from our fire stations to how we travel to everything. I think there's going to be, and there already is, an after COVID, what's going to be the norm and what's going to be in our regular routines now. So
what do you recommend departments do?
Okay, so the first thing we can do is actually, from a training aspect, coming back from my background, is start to educate our crews a little bit better on this. And we do a lot when we bring new members on. We do a lot of hose lines and SCBAs and ladders and all that kind of stuff. But how much time do we spend on care and cleaning of stations, apparatus, equipment, that kind of things, and the proper care of it? And then what kind of procedures do you have in place for it that actually break it down? Because this generation now, they want something in writing, or they want something to look at to reference, because they're going to follow that. They're not going to just have this background and just go, okay, you want me to clean this? All right, I know how to do that. They want that reference material. So you have to create that. And then when we're creating that, whether it's the SOPs and that, establishing routines such as, for your guys' departments, let's use, for example, do you have a daily, weekly, monthly?
Yeah, so in our case, at my volunteer department, ours is a weekly check that actually has to occur with all the apparatus, and actually there's some smaller things when it comes to the medic units that we have, but in most cases all the physical trucks and apparatus are done on a weekly basis. Okay.
And do you have like a monthly, like where you do the Rio cleaning, or quarterly, or something like that?
No, in our case, it's after those calls, right? It's after a major incident, major run. But even at that, I'd say just after our conversation yesterday, it's probably marginal to some degree on how we do that, particularly when we start talking about other key topics with carcinogens and other aspects, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we even started before the COVID and that. We were focused in on the carcinogenics in our gear and hoods. And then we came up with a phrase, or you saw the phrase out there, I don't know, fresh hood Sunday, meaning that, if every week we're taking our hood off and putting our new cleaner one, making sure that that hood got washed or deconned in some way because of what it's exposed to around the fire station, the firehouse. So we started little routines like that. So for what we did, we have a Schedule A, Schedule B weekly for the career department, meaning that a Schedule A means outside. We do a good cleaning on the outside. We go full inventory on the vehicle on a Saturday on a Schedule A. And then Schedule B is interior, decon, all compartments. Everything comes out of the compartments aspect. So we broke it up in those aspects. And then you have what we call a deep cleaning, and that comes when we're, because we're EMS, a fire rescue department, but most of our calls are EMS. So we're subject to the HRS or health department inspections or state EMS agency inspections. And then you do your real deep cleaning on those aspects. And then having people understand the difference between cleaning, sanitizing, and disinfecting, getting back to our topic there, and understanding the difference of that. Because you remember when this first all broke out, car companies and everything is saying, we'll sanitize your vehicle for free if you come in for service and that. And people don't understand the difference between sanitize and disinfect.
So what is the difference, Mark?
Okay, so the difference on sanitize and disinfected is the product that you're using. And usually it comes down to, let's just even take a Clorox wipe. When you do a Clorox wipe, let's see if the back of the Clorox wipe will say to sanitize, you can wipe the screen or wipe the table down, and then immediately after wipe it clean. That would be sanitize. It dwells the time it sits on the product or item until it gets picked up or cleaned. So the dwell time could be 1 or 2 minutes. And then to disinfect it with that same product, it would say that it has to dwell on the product for 5 or 10 minutes. So it's giving disinfect.
So the fine print.
Yeah, disinfect is basically chemically killing any of the bacteria or mold or virus that's there. So, but the first line of defense on all of that is cleaning. If you read all of it, clean surface thoroughly, then sanitize or disinfect. Because what was the first thing they asked you to do for COVID besides the social distancing and mask? What was the really first one they said? Hand washing.
Wash your hands, right?
Right.
Because the viruses are made of proteins. So in order to break down those proteins, that you do surfactants. Surfactants being soaps or detergents for that. Your body does the same things. It has its enzymes that attack that. But on the exterior, it's surfactants or detergents that break it down. So the number one thing that departments can do is clean everything thoroughly and then rely on the disinfectants or sanitizers to do the rest of the job, depending on your time you have.
So how many departments are really doing that, or versus maybe just spraying the disinfecting on it versus actually truly cleaning it and then disinfecting it?
I already went through a bunch of these, but most departments are using this item here, which is the BioPlanet. And then that's the real item here is the Clorox 360 industrial unit. I don't know if you guys have those here, but they're an electrostatic sprayer. They spray the disinfectant through electrostatic sprayer that puts a negative charge on the disinfectant, and then everything else is based on being a neutral. So with that, it attracts the item. With that negative charge, it's able to attract to the item and stick and even wrap around items like grab rails and stuff like that. And this one has a dwell time of about 5 minutes. You can see that Clorox has broken it down to two different agents. One is anywhere, which means that it's able to go into kitchen and food prep areas. And the other one is a total disinfectant, which is the more harsh one that you're going to use in the back of the units. The problem with this, the original one used a vinyl oxide. And just by the term of vinyl oxide, you have to kind of question, okay, it can't be used near your gear, can't be used near your SCBA stuff. They're all separate products, and if you contact MSA or Scott, they're going to want you to use their product. If you're contacting, Globe or the other manufacturer for gears, they have their own product out there that's the only thing you can use on their products to use. So, but this is after you clean, using this kind of product here is the most effective. It's affordable. It's, and it's readily available because now, from what I understand, it's Home Depot Industrial handles all the distribution of this product. So most people can get a hold of that. And the agencies have gone from down here in South Florida, each agency having one of the bioplanets there on the left, to each station now having their own electrostatic sprayer. And then they're using stuff in addition to that.
Wow. So let's say, and in my case, we don't have this one, but we utilize a electrostatic sprayer at my department. But let's say I don't have it. I know a number of departments around me don't, and maybe they don't have the finances to go buy one or get it supported today. What other options are there to still effectively do the job?
Leave it to the fire service to be very inventive, and I don't have that slide, and I'm kicking myself right now. But there are a lot of agencies that came up with the Harbor Freight option. They took a little detail sprayer, paint sprayer, and put the disinfectant in that, and I used that. You can see it on the website, and that I use a more bio-friendly product around things, figuring that I've been exposed to enough during my fire service. I don't need any more of these things to be exposed to. But you can put it in that paint sprayer, and your total cost is like $40. The paint sprayer comes with a regulator that you can regulate it down and hook up to a regular air line, put your disinfectant in there, and spray after you've done your actual thorough cleaning. And thorough cleaning can be anything from soap and water to all-purpose cleaners, scrubbing, steam cleaner if you have that available. There's just a lot of different options out there. And I went to mention that on the article in Fire Apparatus magazine on the cleaning and disinfecting, that there are several different options, and also on my video too.
I think that brings up a really good point in there, in that, you don't have to be, you're showing the steam cleaner there a minute ago, but you don't have to be spending big dollars to do it and do it effectively. But it does sound like no matter how you do it, you need to do it right. You need to take the time to do it. Otherwise, it isn't effective.
Right. And there are, in this upcoming year, I think we talked about it earlier, whether it's reimbursements or grants or those kind of things, there is money available. And it would be a good time, if you don't have the resources, that you start writing and put together some resources, because there's some awesome equipment out there that you probably normally couldn't afford, but at this time, take advantage of those situations and be able to purchase those. I'll go through them real quickly while you're doing that. This is a meter that checks your cleanliness. It runs just over, it's about $1,400, but you're able to take a swab sample and see what level of cleanliness you're getting to. Now if you're getting it on a grant or getting it reimbursed, a nice thing to have, because you're able to test those surfaces, whether you're effective, and also justify whether you need, further or increase that.
Mark, I was gonna say that's a great investment, and we talked about this maybe even before the show kicked off too. But there are grants readily available right now, specifically around COVID. And actually, for any of those volunteers who are watching right now, or combination departments, there is, I think it's about $33 million that actually was set aside specifically through the CARES Act into the AFG supplemental grants, designated only for combination volunteer departments. So if you hear something, these are things that you could definitely look into and apply for them. I do think that might have just closed or be just closing for that time period, but there's other opportunities out there and something to think about.
There's a ton of stuff out there, like the UVC lights. The thing about those is they have to, make contact. They can bounce off of surfaces and clean, but they're really effective and less harmful for us. But they take time. They take, anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes to operate. The ozone machines, that's what they're using in the hotel rooms and hospital rooms, but they've adapted them for the fire service. 10 minutes inside, 10 minutes for the air out afterwards. They also deodorize, which is probably a good thing for the fire department. But, that's another option that's out there. And then just, for those of us, the general washing stuff, the products that are going to be more made for us.
Yeah. One of the other things too, Mark, this came up and we talked about it briefly yesterday in our pre-call here, but you got to know what the care agent is. That if you're using a disinfectant or you're using an alcohol based, you got to know what it is you're using and what you can and cannot apply it to, right?
Absolutely. I think we were talking about, because I talked about the dwell time, how it sits on an item, and if you're using a harsh disinfectant in that, and it has a Clorox base or bleach base or alcohol base, it's going to deteriorate stuff such as glass surfaces, plastic surfaces. I mean, you can't take it near your MDTs,
Right.
Your data terminals. Those have to be cleaned separately, and usually.
You guys see sorry here. I'm going to share my screen. This is something we put out here at Hale a couple months ago, and this is exactly what you're talking about, Mark. Along the lines of alcohol and acrylics and some of the hazards to be aware of.
Yeah, at Hale, we actually all of a sudden really have never had a problem with cracking lenses, on gauges externally on trucks. And all of a sudden we had a rash here in the last several months. And when we started doing the investigation and tracking back, it was, in many cases, they were applying and would never wipe off, never wash off either any of those disinfectants. And then as you mentioned, polycarbonates and other acrylics can be very detrimentally impacted by 100% or high percentages of alcohol or other chemical concentrates.
Even the leather or near leather or vinyl, that's going to discolor with that. So like some of my friends that actually do the car detailing and aspect, I just do apparatus. They were finding a problem with that as far as discoloring some of the seats and coverings and dashboards and all that kind of stuff, because people are just going haywire with it. So I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that you can go down so many rabbit holes with this.
Sure, it's a whole world. It's not new. It's a lot more urgent right now that
it's on our minds.
It's on our mind. That's
very much so.
You can't see it or smell it, but it's there.
Yeah.
So that's great. I mean, as far as it's always hard to dive too deep into one of these in a short 25 minute discussion. Other than which is up on the screen here, and that's coming to FDIC next year. What are some resources that we can utilize between now and then to learn more, Mark? What are some ways we can?
I do have my website. So the website has stuff. I have a YouTube channel, and I'm trying to post more videos that are more relevant to things that are going on, because I'm getting more feedback from more departments now. As right now, I do the prep for anything that's delivered down here in South Florida. apparatus wise, especially for like Rev and that. And I'm able to talk with some of the chiefs that are taking the deliveries and that kind of aspect and talk to them. And they're like, well, how did you get it to look like this? I'm like, well, these are some of the things that, you know, you need to do. And first thing is to get rid of the mop bucket and the hospital towels and those things. And a regular 5-gallon bucket with a grit guard in it. And they're like, grit guard, what's that? I'm like, this is what a grit guard is. It makes, you know, so I talk about those things. I talk about, you know, well, what are you using to disinfect? And then how long are you letting it sit? This is what you need to do here. So I'm going to try to address a lot of these in my class coming up. But other than that, I guess the only other aspect is trying to do the YouTube world, I guess.
Well, you know, well, I think the good thing is that, you know, you reiterate the fact that you're putting a lot of information out there, whether it be on your website or through videos as well. And so, you know, Mark was nice enough, as you guys will see at the bottom of the screen, to really push out his contact info. So, you know, I know he doesn't like to be called an expert, but let's just say he's educated in this topic, right? And so I know just the little bit of time that we've spent with him, I've learned some key pieces of the puzzle, and I hope you all have as well watching today. But if you have other questions, check out his website, but also reach out to Mark. You know, he's more than happy to help you and really give you a different lighter perspective. And if your department has general questions on it, and you know, he's willing to help on that one. I'd even say if you're in South Florida, sounds like you can probably just roll your rig into his place and he'll take care of it for you. So you can find out more on Mark and his business there on his website, and then also by reaching out at Mark W. at captain-h2o.com.
Thanks.
Appreciate your
Mark,
time.
Thank you.
With that, thank you for joining us in the jump seat. Like always, John, time flies by. Can you believe it? We've actually already burnt through our half-hour show here today.
Yep.
And you know, I'll let you take us into next week and where we're going to be at, and then kind of look at wrapping it up.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Talk to you later, Mark. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, Dave. As you said, we've got a good bunch coming here in the next few weeks of different areas in the fire service that we haven't hit yet. So hope you guys can all join us next week. It'll be good. It's gonna be number 26. It's going to be an inside look at Sutphin aerials with Drew Sutphin. We'll be on the virtual road and having a nice tour that we haven't had yet. So I'm looking forward to it, and I know a lot of our viewers are as well. Please, for those who are watching, you know, you can share this online through Facebook as well as YouTube, and we also have an IDEX Fire and Safety blog. So. If you guys have ideas of other guests, let us know in the comments. We are watching. And with that being said, I'm going to close out the show here, and we'll see you guys all next week on Friday, same place, same time. Thanks a lot.